The stars are dutifully watching from above as a man slowly opens a door, trying not to alert those inside. Every creak of the hinges rips at his insides, but there's nothing he can do. These old rusty hinges have been screaming at him ever since he was too small to open the door himself. Nonetheless, he closes the door behind him and leaves his shoes behind. The wooden floors won't be much better than those hinges, but his bare feet should at least soften his steps. And so, he tiptoes through the darkness, listening keenly for any sound other than his own footsteps and the crickets from outside. Soon he gets to his bed and is greeted with the soft snore his wife always refused to admit to, no matter how he teased her about it. He places a hand on her warm cheek and kisses her on her forehead. She stirs slightly. "Baby," he says, "I got something to tell you." She snorts awake and stretches. What is it? He wishes he could see more than her outline in the darkness. He begins to answer, but he is interrupted by a bang on the front door. His heart jumps in his chest and his wife shoots up to a seated position. It's too late now. They're here. All he wanted was to see his wife and children one last time. At least tell his wife what was about to happen, maybe try to make a plan of escape. Now, the only thing on his mind is to protect his wife and children. "Go to stay with the kids," he whispers. "Keep him quiet, and don't come out no matter what happens, you hear?" Normally she would protest, ask questions, but she knows a dangerous situation when she hears it. She squeezes his hand and darts out to the room where their 4 children are likely confused and scared out of their young minds. The men outside are calling his name between bangs on the door now. Like a man on death row, he walks towards the front door, trying his best to keep his head high, as though trying to be brave for his children, even though they can't see him. Though they probably will soon if they look through the window. The men break down the door, their flashlights blinding him as they tackle him to the floor. He tries his best not to make a sound as they handcuff him, their knees on his back, on his neck. He doesn't fight back. He knows better than to resist arrest, even as they kick and punch him in his own home and yell things at him that he wishes his children never have to hear. 2 officers, their pale white hands gripping as strongly as the 2 tight cuffs, drag him to their car, which they'd parked some distance away, probably so they wouldn't give away their arrival. He is accused of murder, locked in a cold cell, battered and bruised as they question him. He does get a lawyer, eventually, but of course the lawyer is just as white as the officers, as are the judge and jury. No matter how many times he tells the truth, he knows how this will end. By some miracle, he isn't lynched. The trial, though, goes exactly as one would expect. Guilty. He is sentenced to death. His wife cries. Bawls, really. His children, too. He wishes they weren't there. As the officers drag him away, though, he takes one final look at his family and community in the colored section of the courtroom. He wants to tell them one last time that he loves them, but it takes all his strength to keep his tears in. He wants to at least keep the victory of not letting those crackers see him cry. Somehow, prison is worse than jail. Cold, filthy, decrepit. He doesn't do much except count the days until the end. And finally, the end comes. He's silent as they shave his head and legs, trembling as they lead him in chains to his final seat. He is strapped in, a cap on his head and electrodes on his feet. The sponge under the cap leaks salt water down his face, so it both looks and feels like he's crying. His wife and children aren't there, thankfully. He doesn't want them to witness this. His eyes are closed. He doesn't say anything. He just waits and waits. and finally, they pull whatever lever would end him. He gasps, and his eyes snap open. A white room greets him. A white man in a lab coat almost as white stares down at him, a clipboard in hand. He is in chains again, this time binding him to a hospital bed. His dark skin and bright orange jumpsuit are basically the only splash of color in this sterile space. "Greetings," the man in the lab coat says flatly. "You have been conscripted to the SCP Foundation's D class. You will serve the Foundation without question. Follow every command perfectly or face termination. Is that understood?" He blinks up at the man, unsure how to respond. How did he get here? Is this hell? "Understood," the lab coat repeats. What? How? He pulls at the chains, his head swimming. "That," the lab coat answers, "is classified. All you need know is that you are under SCP Foundation jurisdiction and will be for the rest of your life. You have been designated D-1275. Lab coat steps aside and nods to an open door. Two soldiers in black uniform step in, firearms at the ready. Without a single word, they uncuff him and gruffly lead him out the room and down the hall. He can barely stand. They have to hold him up. He's supposed to be dead. What in the world is going on? Something tells him, though, that he won't get any answers from these men. Soon, they've pulled him away from the corridors that smell of cleaning solution and onto rough stone floors lined with bars. They open a cell door and shove him in, locking it behind him before shuffling away wordlessly. He's a prisoner yet again. At least these facilities are cleaner, though. He somehow feels he doesn't have to worry about critters crawling over his feet when he least expects it. Apparently, he even has his own cell, which was far more than he could say for his previous accommodations. Maybe things won't be as bad as he thought. He's never been more wrong. Though he's well fed in his new prison, he's summoned at any time to be driven across the country to be part of so-called experiments. He's seen things he could never dream of. Monsters, objects that must have been possessed, locations so deadly that the only thing left of his fellow inmates is liable to be nothing but a single bone. He's begged his captors over and over, "Please, I have to see my family. I have to let them know I'm alive. I'm innocent. I swear." Every single time, he's met with a cold silence as they drag him to the next experimental procedure. Sometimes, as he sits alone in his cell or in chains at the back of an SCP truck, he wishes that the next experiment will end this nightmare forever.